Welcome back to Property Management Madness. Property management is crazy. So let's talk about it. Grab a seat, grab a drink. We'll wait while you get ready. All right, I'm your host, Shawna.
And I'm your co-host, Jay.
And today, Jay, what's the subject today?
Today we're going to talk about all the fun we have. Actually, we're going to talk about why property management is a very tough industry. Right, kind of going to roast the industry just a bit.
Okay, we
I
can
mean,
roast the industry.
I mean, we're just going to tell the truth.
Well, yeah. So I want to say, first of all, that nobody, to me, anyways, I feel like nobody gets into property management because that was like their goal in life. Like you decide that you're going to be in property management and it's kind of like being at the carnival and you walk through the fun house, right? Like you get in the front door and like there's like this big wheel that's trying to trip you, and then you walk through like the chains, and then there's like those big things on the ground that are like making all sorts of noise, and then you're weaving in and out of the bars, and you got to like limbo past stuff, and then you're going into the house of mirrors and you're crashing into stuff, and then at the very end, like you, at the very end you get out and you're like on a completely different side of the carnival, and you're like,
How
what
did I
the
get here?
hell just happened to me? And I feel like that's really how it is when people get into property management. Like something has happened. Well, multiple things have happened to
Something
you, and
has happened in your life to make you want to do this to yourself.
yeah, like something happened, and all of these things just as bizarre as they seem, like happen to be connected in this bizarre way that got you into property management. That's
Yeah,
how I feel.
I can agree with that. Sometimes I also equate it to like you go to a haunted house during Halloween
Yeah.
and you get to the end of it, and then there's that guy chasing you with a chainsaw, and your adrenaline is rushing and you're running for your life. That's
Yes.
kind of like property
Yeah,
management.
that's like every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
It's
perfect
like you want to
example.
scream, but you are not going to scream because you're just so terrified. You're just going to run.
But you also
And
have, like, that need for that adrenaline, and it, like, keeps you going. You're like,
yeah,
"This is
you're
awesome."
having a great time, but you're scared to death.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's kind of like property management.
yeah.
So if you're thinking about a new career, come on over.
Come on over.
You'll live a
Uh,
lot less, or well, you
I'll
won't
live a
live
lo
as long. You won't live as long, but you'll
You'll
have
be
a good
you'll
time.
be very gray very fast. So
Or
I
you just
think,
won't have any hair like me.
well, yeah, you're the bald is beautiful, it's okay. But, yeah, I think that that's, to me, how everybody that I know has gotten in the industry. It was like, "How did this happen?" And you're like, "Oh, well, I started in retail, and then I was working at a call center, and then, like, all these, like, different things that totally unrelate to property management happened to me, and now I'm in it."
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened for me.
Yeah.
I was in retail and restaurant and thought that's what I was going to do with my life. I was going to be a restaurateur. I was going to open a restaurant one day. Here I am going on 40 years old, and I'm been in property management now for like 11 years.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it happened. I
Yeah.
don't know when it started. It's like somebody just dropped me here, and now this is apparently what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're like, you got dropped off by the aliens, and you're like,
Yeah. I was abducted, and when they
"I
put
know
me
how to do."
back, I was in the property
Oh
management
my god, you're
industry.
like Neo. Like you woke up and you're like, "I know kung fu."
I
Except for you're like, "I know property
What pill
management."
did I take? I took the red pill, I took the blue pill, I don't even know. I just know that I ended up here, and it's a completely different reality.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is. I think that property management is also one of those industries. It will chew you up and spit you out with no mercy.
it takes a certain kind of person
Yeah.
to be in this industry. If you don't have a thick skin or
No.
an ability to just adapt to just all the craziness that actually does happen,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to think, ah, you have an office job. It's really simple. It's nothing. I might work in an office, but it is not simple
No.
to
Well, and
to say the least.
it's not an office job in the sense that a lot of people think, where you just you come into the office and you sit at your desk for 8 hours and then you leave and you go home. As a property manager, there's a lot of hands-on things that go on with that. You're out in the field, you're looking at your properties, you're, doing things, you're hanging signs, you're taking signs down, you're checking maintenance, you're doing walkthroughs. There's For as much of an office job as it is, it's also not.
Yeah, yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And not only are you doing that, you have to make sure your portfolio is profitable. You're not spending too
Yeah.
much on maintenance. You got to manage budgets. You have to speak to owners. You have to speak to tenants. You have to speak to attorneys. You have to go to court.
Yeah.
There's just so much
Yeah.
that goes into it that I don't think everybody really knows. And when they're contemplating, like, oh, this sounds like a really cool industry. I want to get into it, but you have never done it
Try it.
before. I'm not going to say that you can't
Try it. Yeah.
because
For
I
sure.
I fell into it. Like
Mhm.
I didn't start off wanting to just be a property manager. It wasn't a dream I had growing up
Yeah.
saying this is what I want to do.
Right.
I ended up in this industry and I happened to excel at it.
Yep.
I was good at it. I could handle it, and it's not for everyone. I've been through a lot of different property managers working in my office, and there's a lot of people that just can't cut it,
They
and
can't,
I
no.
do not blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you at all. It's like getting on a roller coaster and the roller coaster went off track and you don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, in my office, so I manage staff on site, and the turnover in the office is astronomical because it's just people who are new to the industry
Mm,
and then they realize that they don't like it. And especially like uh, um, at my property, because we're a HUD property and we're a tax credit property. So there are a lot of inspections and a lot of paperwork and a lot of hoopla that goes into managing the property. It's not just a market property where you're, showing people who are interested units and then, renting them out and pay, and getting the rent paid and stuff. There's a lot of extra paperwork.
yeah.
You're working for the government. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. And some people who are property managers, like I came from market properties
Mm,
and I came from single family homes and, managing 600 single family homes, all over the Metro Detroit area. And then I came to, on site apartment management, and like the animal is totally different. And some people who like that high energy craziness
mhm.
that I had at the job that I had previously is not there. And so some people don't like it because they don't want to be on site.
Yeah.
So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of another. And then there's some people who are new to the industry. They're like, "Yeah, I wanted to try this out," and they didn't last. I had an admin. Oh my gosh. So
She has a story.
I hired an admin in September last year. Just an admin assistant, receptionist, answer, answer the door, answer phone calls, file paperwork, send faxes. Easy, nothing too strenuous. And I had her going through files and sending over corrections for recertifications for the HUD recerts. She lasted 1 day going through files.
Yeah, I mean, I
And she's like,
I can see that.
no.
'Cause it's just some people have a an idea of what they think it is going in, and it turns out to be something completely different.
Yeah.
And I think some people don't understand though that there are a lot of different kinds of property management.
Yeah.
If you're working for a property management company, there's a lot of different ways it can be run, and the expect what's expected of you
And it's
can
all
be
messy.
different no matter where you go.
Hmm.
You can think, you're working for a company, you're doing your duties every day, and you're like, oh, I'm killing it, I'm great at this, and then you go to a different company thinking it's still a property management job. You're going
And
to be doing the
you're
exact same thing, and
in the
it's
deep end.
completely different.
Yeah, and
I
sometimes you're
mean,
just in the deep end, like, what happened?
yeah.
And, like, when I started at my property, I didn't have any on-site property management experience.
Mm,
I didn't really have any HUD or not Section 8, but any HUD or tax credit experience besides third party vouchers. So when I got there, I expected, for it to be a little challenging, and it was, but I also kind of expected like this extra degree of training. And I had been in the industry for so long that the manager was like, my manager gave me a map and the keys and was like, okay, here you go. And I was like, okay.
Okay,
Like,
what just happened?
okay, I can do like, and and obviously I'm still here. So like I can live on that.
Yeah,
I can live on that. And I was like that kind of high intensity, throw me to the wolves. I'm going to show you I can sink or swim. And that's
yeah.
really how this industry is. And I'm not saying that you're going to go everywhere and you're not going to get any training or anything like that.
I mean, it's
But
the
a lot of
nature
it
of
is
the
working on
industry,
your
though.
feet. It is. It is working like it's working on your feet. It's like
Like, you have to
you
learn
need
as
to
you go.
know, right, exactly, it's all hands on, and some things that from from prior jobs and things like that will be useful, but you're going to come across, and I still do, and I know you still do, Jay, like we come
Yeah,
across things every single day I've never seen before.
yeah, all the time. You will
How do you
always
deal with
run
this?
into something new,
Yeah.
and if you can't think on your feet and figure it out,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it. And like you said, it's kind of like going into this industry, there's a degree of training that you can get when it comes to like the systems you're using
Yeah.
or the software, things like
Yeah.
that. But for everything else, there's so many things that are situational
Yeah.
that you're just not going to know how to handle,
Until it
and
happens.
you just have to do it. Like
Yeah.
when somebody comes in, a brand new property manager comes in, a baby property manager
Yeah.
comes in,
A
and
little baby.
I've got to start training. I'll put them on some modules so they can learn the systems and everything like that. But other than that, you just got to start working,
Yeah.
and you're just going to learn it as you go. Obviously, if you're working for a company that's a decent company that has other people that are trained to do your job, they're going to support you and explain to you this is how you handle the situation. But sometimes you might have to look it up,
Yeah.
and if you're not that kind of person that can swim,
Yeah.
you're gonna sink, you're gonna drown, and
Yeah.
it is not gonna be fun. Well, it's never fun.
But it's
it's
not, and it
it's
doesn't take
stressful,
long.
but
It really doesn't. So like we were talking earlier, that this industry is like a sink or swim. If you can't cut it, you can't. But
yeah,
it's not something that you're going to be prolonging. Like you will know very quickly whether or not this is the right kind of job for you. This isn't going to be something you're going to be in for 5 years and be like, you know what? I don't really know about this.
yeah,
Like
right
you're going
away.
to know within 3 weeks, probably before
I
that.
knew within 3 weeks, but by that time they chained me to the desk and I
Yeah,
couldn't leave. So
exactly. Exactly. So it's just, yeah, you're going to know. And if it's not the right fit, you're going to know immediately.
yeah. And so let's get into some of the different aspects, some of the
Sure.
craziness that we deal with on a
Uh,
daily basis. I mean, like we were saying, there's so many different things you're gonna do when it comes to there's if you're a lot of companies rely on a lot of different software programs, so there's a lot to learn. But you're also dealing with people, you're dealing with
yep.
tenants, you're dealing with owners, you're
Yep.
dealing with angry people all the time, no
Hmm.
matter how much you've done right.
Yeah.
You can like I will answer the phone and it's just somebody screaming at me. And at one point, all you hear when they're trying to scream at you is hold on one second. I think it's this. And you just hold the phone away from your ear and continue just to hear the lovely music in your head. And then you go back on and
They're like,
say,
Jay, were you listening to me?
and I say, yep. And I hear, that's it. This is it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at one point when you've been in the industry,
Yeah.
that sometimes you just let them scream themselves out,
Yep.
and then you fix the problem because it was something simple that you could have easily fixed. But if you can't deal with somebody yelling in your face and go to your happy place in your head while they're doing it,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it. And that goes for your tenants, owners, you
Yep.
know, everybody, because there's always going to be somebody that's angry about something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always say that I am like a duck because you just let it roll off your back.
Yeah.
I don't take anything personally.
Mhm.
Somebody can come in screaming at me to my face. I'm the problem. I'm this. I'm that. Pointing fingers. And I am unbothered.
Yep. I'm
I'm
gonna get over it real quick.
I'm unbothered because I know 90% of the time has nothing to do with me
And
and
if you're
has
the kind
everything
of
to do with other people.
Yep.
And that's totally fine. You just kind of let them do what they need to do. And then you say, okay, how can I help?
And if you're the kind of person that, is going to sit there and dwell on it and
Yeah.
it's going to affect your entire day.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anything done. You're just going to be more stressed out at the end of the day.
Right.
So, just let it go, move on,
Yep.
next task, next fire to put out because there's another fire about every 5 seconds in property
Yeah.
management. You will never take a vacation and not get a call
Yeah, that's true.
or 40 calls or
Yeah.
60 calls.
So I think that the industry in general is just so messy. It's just messy. And a lot of the support systems that I don't want to say should be there, but that could be there just aren't. And I think that that kind of goes with every industry, right? Everybody says,
Yeah,
the training could always be better.
yeah.
Um,
My training could have been way better. Shauna trained me, people. Shauna did it. It's her fault. She's the problem.
and what do you do now? Director of operations. That's what I thought. Exactly.
I mean, I
So,
did move up.
so like, uh, um, but it's really messy. And I think that because of some of the lack of support that managers get, especially new managers. I mean, there are just amazing, amazing managers out there that have so much potential and they can't even use any of it to put it to good use because they're spending all of their energy burned out
Yeah.
just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of
The
a
burnout in this
problem in
industry
this
is
industry is
insane.
that if you're good at your job, you will be overworked.
Yeah.
You will get more thrown at you
Yeah.
every single day, and it's just expected that you just get through it. So the burnout is high because, I mean, you may have to manage 500 properties by yourself. You may have to manage more than that by yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would say um, a reasonable portfolio for one person.
Just
Uh,
depends on what kind of
yeah,
thing,
it depends on
what
what
you're
kind of
doing.
portfolio, what kind of industry you're in, if single family, multifamily, tax credit, whatever it may be. Um, but in the single family industry, a reasonable portfolio is around 150 to 200 properties. You can easily manage and be able to
Manage
give your
well.
attention to all of your portfolios
Right.
because you got to think that out of those 150 to 200 properties, there you'll have owners that own like 25 of those properties. So
Yeah.
that's one portfolio. You can give the attention that's deserved to that portfolio when it's scaled down. But in this industry, you're expected to manage a much larger portfolio
Yeah.
and on top of the managing just the portfolio, you're handling the tenants, the owners, the maintenance, the
Yeah.
inspections, the cities, the court dates, the evictions,
Yeah.
the collections. There's so much that goes into it. It gets overwhelming, and some people can't handle that, and that's fair. It's
Yeah.
100% fair
Yeah.
because it can be a lot. It can be very draining. It can be very mentally exhausting.
Yeah. It's a beast.
Yeah.
It is a beast. And like I don't know anybody that works in property management personally that doesn't work 70 hours a week.
Yeah, it's kinda like even when you're not working, you're
You're
still
working.
working
Yeah.
because you're still doing things on behalf of your properties.
Yeah.
Because if you can't get it all done in an 8-hour shift at the
Yeah.
office.
Well, and then even if you did like miraculously, which will never happen, you're just done at the end of the day. And you're like, "Wow, I did it all." Like, I can't even
I've never
enjoy
been
my
able to
week
say
I
that.
no, I haven't either, but I can't even go and, like, enjoy my weekend. Like, I went to a festival what was it, last month? I went to a festival, and I was networking for work with all the people that were there. Like, I mean, I was enjoying myself, I had a
Yeah.
very good time, but I was also, like, work, 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 work,
Yep.
work. Like I just like, oh, this would be great. If I could do this and I can have these people come and I can do this. And I was like networking and like just always doing
You're always
something.
on,
Yeah.
but you kinda have to be because
Yeah.
in this industry, if you're not networking, there's something every single day you're going to find like, oh, I need this vendor, oh, I could use this, oh, I need a new attorney. And if
Yeah.
you're not out there networking on
Yeah.
your downtime or when you're out or
Yeah.
whatever, you're losing opportunities. I went to the
Yeah.
gas station the other day and I saw a guy wearing a jacket that said masonry on it. I need a mason, I need a good mason.
Yep.
I ran and got a card real quick and asked him for his card, and gave him a call so I can get a quote on some work that I need done at one of my buildings.
Exactly.
And so it's like you're on all the time
Right.
because you know that if you
You
don't
have to
take
be.
those opportunities,
Yeah.
that
There's not
it's
enough
just
time
going
in
to
the
make
day.
your life harder when you're actually
Yeah.
at the office and now you need it,
Yeah.
but you've
Well,
not
and
had an
if
opportunity to pull anyone in.
and a 40-hour work week as a property manager, a professional is not realistic. There's no way you're either A, going to get everything done in that time frame. That's just not going to happen. And B, there are so many other things. Like even if your main job is done, there are so many other things going on in the background that you're never done.
Mhm.
And you can always be doing something. So, I know that you do this, I do this, that, I'll come home and be like, okay, finally home. It was a long day. Sit down and I relax for like 2 hours and then I pull up my email.
Yep. My email's
And
on both of
then,
my phones that I
yeah,
carry around so I can
pull up
always
my
have it.
email, just try because I don't want to feel left behind because things will leave you
Yeah.
super fast. And that's just the industry. And that's the way that everybody expects it to be.
Mhm.
And do I think that that's fair? Absolutely
No.
not. Do I think that that is what is required to be in this industry? Absolutely. Do I think
But
and that
and
is just what it is.
the
And I think that right there is my biggest roast of the industry is that you cannot have a personal life and
absolutely
be
not.
well at your job. Do well.
You can't.
Unless you know other property managers, because then you'll just be sitting there talking and networking with each other. But so you're getting both done.
And if you know other property managers and you're friends with other property managers, at least you can sit there and vent to each other about how terrible of a day you had or everything that you needed, and you can actually get ideas off from each other.
Yeah,
But like a big question for some people is sustainability. Is like how do you sustain that as one person trying to handle all of those things? How do you sustain it? What?
you drink a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with this. You become a hardened alcoholic.
I don't know. I don't want to say this. I actually on the podcast a hardened alcoholic. But
It's
no,
already
you
been
do.
said. It's said. Shauna,
You
you have 3 drinks in front of you right now.
listen. We had to do that intro a couple times, okay? So there was a lot of tabs, okay? But yeah, you have to find a way to blow off steam.
Yeah, you
And
absolutely
if you
do.
don't if you don't hey, you don't have to drink. I mean, it makes
Yeah, it
things a
doesn't have
lot
to be
more fun.
drinking.
But you have to have hobbies. You have to make time for yourself. And if even if it is related to work. Like so far just doing this podcast, this has for me, I don't want to speak for you, Jay, but this
Okay.
has been incredibly fun.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy it. And I'm sitting here talking about work. So like it allows me to relax and blow off steam and talk about all the things that other people in the industry are dealing with too and they're living my life.
Yeah, the next thing that we're gonna do that's a little less challenging, a little less scary than property management is base jumping. We're doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to go fight a tiger in my downtime to relax. Take the edge off. I'm going to wrestle a walrus. Yeah, it's just you have to make time for yourself. And like some people are built for it, some people aren't. Like when I first got into this industry, it was just a job.
Oh,
I needed a job and
but it was a
I
beast.
it it was so bad. And like I just needed a job and I had started my own business. And then eventually my passion for my business didn't succeed as much as my passion for the insanity that I dealt with at my full-time job. And like I was always used to being busy. I used to wake up
Mhm.
at 5 o'clock in the morning, and like I had a baking company. So wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get everything together. Then I was baking everything that morning, dropping it off at the markets, and then coming to work, working full time, going back to the markets. Like every single day was crazy.
Yeah,
It was
and
crazy. And then I was like, okay, I can do this.
yeah,
Like
I
this is
we
what I
all
want
love
to do.
to
I
tell
want
ourselves we
to.
can do it.
Right, and, like, I really wanna do this, and then I kept saying, like, I really want my business to succeed, I wanna be self-employed, I really like doing this, and then I was like, "I really like this job.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
really like, and I could just do my business as a hobby and get the best of both worlds."
Yeah, and that's how it was when, we started our LLC doing, maintenance, turnovers, remodels, and things like that. And like, I would leave my office job to go to a job site and go and do whatever needed to be done there, be working till like 10, 11 o'clock at night,
Mhm.
go home next morning, get up, go to work, do it all over again. And every single weekend I did that for a while,
Yeah,
longer
like,
than I
2
liked.
years, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
because
2 or
it
3
was
years,
just
yeah.
every single day,
Yeah,
working every single day, every hour, every extra minute I had, because I said I want to have my own business, even if it's a side business and I'm still working full
yeah,
time. But sustaining that and also doing what I'm doing, and I enjoy property management. I
yeah,
enjoy the industry I'm in. And I wanted to work my way up like I did. Like I am the director now.
yeah.
That was another goal I had, but I couldn't do it all. But do I still do my side business? It's not really a business anymore. It's more of,
A hobby.
a hobby,
Yeah,
or I might want to make some extra cash because I want
because
to
now you're a
do something
vendor.
or buy something,
Mhm.
or have a little bit of extra spending money, something like that,
Yeah,
and I'll do something on the weekend or something.
yeah.
But for 2 years, like, it was full time job. It was another full time
Time
job,
job, yeah,
and just doing it all the time. But on top of the fact that I do actually enjoy doing property management, it wasn't sustainable
yeah,
because I that's all I did.
yeah,
And really quick, I you know was beginning to get a little bit miserable.
yeah,
So, if you're not ready to, this kind of industry, this kind of job takes a lot of commitment.
yeah,
And um, if you're not ready to commit to it, and
yeah.
you're not crazy like us,
Yeah,
you're not gonna last. Because a lot of people say, you sound like you hate your job. No, I'm just crazy.
right.
I enjoy it because I
You're
don't
like,
know how I'm
I can
basking in the
yeah.
craziness of it all.
Like, I can understand how this sounds, but I love my job.
Ah,
I love what I do. I always tell people that I love what I do, but I don't always love my job because I really do love being in the industry. I like networking. Like I said, I'm part of, you know, I have licensing and things like that. And, I have a lot of education, and I really enjoy that, but I don't always love my job because I don't love evicting people if they don't
yeah,
pay.
that's
I
the worst part of the
don't
industry, I would say.
love dealing with people who die in the unit. And I work
Okay,
with
also
seniors.
another bad part of the industry.
Yeah. And like I work with senior citizens, so it happens all the time. I don't like those parts of what I do, but I do love what I do.
Yeah, I don't think people really realize because that you have to deal with those kind of things, like in the industry we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, you now more because of the kind of facility you work at,
Hmm.
but even in our previous job and my current position, you're in people's lives, like
Yeah.
where they live, where they made their life. So when someone passes away unexpectedly, now that's part of your job. You have to deal with that. You
Yeah.
have to, figure out what goes along with that. What are the legalities? What do you have to follow? What paperwork, who you have to contact. There's a lot of things, and it's tragic.
Yeah. No, I agree with that entirely. And yeah, being part of people's lives, I think really changes the job
Yeah.
because you don't like it's people's homes. It's their home and their family. And when they lose their job, they don't know what to do.
Mhm.
And I also think that that's a lot of reason why I don't take things personally when people are upset and they can't pay their rent, or they're getting evicted, or their wife left them and now they don't qualify and they have to find roommates, and there's all these things that
Yeah.
could possibly happen. And like, I don't take it personally because I know how triggering those kind of events can be emotionally, and
Yeah.
you have to have some sort of emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
but you can't let it get to you. You
Yeah.
have to have a heart, but you also have to have a hardened heart and
Yeah, that's what I was
realize.
gonna say. It's, sometimes, you have to do something, like, you're not happy to do it,
Yeah.
but then, people, like, will ask, "Well, how can you be so heartless to do that?" Well, that's because I have no soul. No, I'm kidding. Um, but in this industry, you have to know when to be stern
Mhm.
and just say, "You know what? I'm not just, while I care what you're going through,
Yeah.
it it is what it is. That's the nature of the industry.
Yeah.
Oh, people own these homes, and we have to do what we have to do
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's
Yeah.
not a fun part of the job.
Yeah.
But I mean, you work in it long enough,
Uh,
you
You,
work in it long enough,
you just
and it's
yeah,
just,
it's just
no,
second
it's
nature.
another day.
It's
So
just another day.
I
Yep.
mean,
I mean, we deal with just the worst of the nastiest kind of thing. And like, I don't want to get too gory and gross. Well, we're going to make our own little rodeo episode for that, but like, there's things in this industry as a person I never thought I was going to see ever before in my life.
oh, that's going to be a whole nother episode. We
And
can do that
like
next.
like, I never in a million years thought I was going to see, like like I said, I don't want to get too far into it, but like the result of a suicide.
Yeah.
And you see it,
Yep.
and that gets to you.
You see it,
But
and you
that's
have to deal with the
and
aftermath of it.
but that kind of thing happens. I don't want to say every day because
But
like
it
in
does
in
happen,
the industry, it happens very, very often. And
and you wouldn't think.
you have to have it. You
Yeah.
have to have what it takes to be in the industry to deal with something like that all the time. I deal with old people, so and most of my residents are it's 62 and over, but the median age of my residents is about 73. So I deal with a lot of people who pass away, but I also deal with a lot of people who are just grandparents.
Mm.
And when they break their lease and do things they're not supposed to do, and they act out or destroy things, they're not being malicious. Well, sometimes they are. You wouldn't think they would be, but you have to be stern and tell them, like, listen, you cannot do
Yeah.
this. You can't just be in here trashing the walls with your wheelchair. Like, you need to be more careful. Like, what are you doing? You can't have your grandkid you know, parked out front, and they're bringing lawnmowers through my property.
Why
Absolutely not.
not?
Absolutely not. You
Come on.
cannot do that. And then you realize, like, you have to take a step back and be like, oh my God, I am bitching at somebody's grandmother. But at the end of the day, you
It's
have to
part of your
shut
job.
you have to shut that out.
Yeah.
You have to shut that part out and be like, okay, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
I don't
This is
always love my job, but I do love what I do. And, whether or not it's someone's grandma or grandpa or whatever, someone passed away, someone rode their bicycle through my property or whatever it is, it has to be handled. And as a property manager, you need to be able to do that. So you need to have the backbone to deal with your residents. You have to be stern because you need to get things done,
Yep.
and you can't take anything
It's
personally.
like you have
I
to
always
mentally
tell
prepare yourself.
and mentally prepare. I always tell every single one of my new hires when I'm training and things like that. Even when I was training at the previous company I was at, and I was hiring assistants and I trained everybody there. I always tell people you can't take anything personally. Everybody's going through their own thing,
Mhm.
and if they're yelling at you, it's a reflection of them and their life, not of you.
Yep.
And if you can't handle being yelled at, I'm sorry, but this is not where you belong.
I mean, I say it as when I'm interviewing people, especially somebody for the position of a property manager,
Yeah,
I give them the talk about, this is the kind of thing, especially if they're new to the industry, because
yeah.
at the company I work for, you don't necessarily have to have property management experience
No,
to be a property manager.
no.
You can start from the bottom and learn it.
Yeah. How do you think
And
everybody got
yeah,
here?
I mean,
Well, everybody started
you and
somewhere.
I started in storage management and then
Hmm.
went to residential, which was
Yeah.
wildly different
I
than
mean,
what we did.
it was similar. So there
Well,
are a
it's
lot of
similar
things
when it
every
came to collections
right.
and evictions
And
and
leases and
leases and
tenants and
deaths
but
and stuff like that. But
overall,
the
the
other part of
animal
the
is a different
industry, yeah.
animal. Right.
And I kind of give people the talk about,
Yep.
this is the kind of person
The
you have to
come
be
to Jesus
sometimes. Yeah, come to
talk.
Jesus talk. It really is like,
Yeah.
and if you're not prepared for that,
Yeah.
maybe this isn't for you. You want to be a receptionist, you can be. You want to answer phones, you can answer phones.
Right.
But if you can't deal with all of the craziness that
The
comes with it,
the
and
messy,
sometimes not having the
gritty.
support
Yeah.
in in this industry, you won't always have the support, especially depending on what kind of company you work for. There are so many different kind of management companies out
Yeah.
there. I trust me, I've seen a lot of them go out of business.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it's because they don't have the support, they don't have the tools they need,
Yep.
and you may not always have those things in the position you're in, and you have to fend for yourself. So if you can't do that,
Yeah.
then you're not ready to be a property
You
manager.
have
You also have to be
to
a little bit crazy.
well,
I mean,
that goes without saying.
yeah.
But you have to be a self-starter.
Oh, 100%.
You can't just sit around and wait for somebody to give you
Yeah,
direction.
the answer is never just going to walk up to you.
It's not. It never is.
I would love it if it would. That'd be great.
It would be boring.
I
That's
Can
what
I
I'm
be
saying.
bored for one day? I would love to be bored for one day at
No,
work.
so everybody says like,
Watch
"Oh,
some
if you,"
Netflix.
but people are like, "Oh, if you won the lottery, what would you quit your job? What would you do?" I wouldn't quit my job.
I'd probably start a property management
I would
company.
exactly, exactly. Like in my free time, I'm sitting here talking about work. Of course, I'm not gonna quit my job. I would be so bored.
Yeah,
I would be so bored.
I
I
would be
deal
bored.
with
I would
this
need something to do.
crazy, just barrage of just insanity and messiness and just
And we love it.
it's every single day. You think I could just lay on my couch? I can't even go on vacation. I go on vacation for 2 days, I get bored, and then I go back to work.
Hey, I go on vacation and I have a great time. I can't get bored because number one, I'm on vacation. I'm having fun.
Oh
Number
yeah.
two, my phone's ringing anyways, and it's
Yeah,
work,
exactly.
and
It's
somebody
work.
is saying they need something
Exactly.
from me.
Yeah.
I mean, last time we went to New Orleans and you guys had to
Mhm.
yell at me to leave my computer at home.
Yeah.
Still brought my work phone. Every time I answered it, I got yelled at.
Yeah.
Be-
We're like,
It's
"Can't you
the
just enjoy
nature.
yourself?"
No,
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
because there is you're when you're in this industry, this is what you do. You're going to get calls, especially when
Yeah.
you're managing your portfolio.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that really sucks about
Grinds your
the
gears.
industry is when you're a property manager, you're assigned a portfolio.
Yeah.
These are your properties, these are your owners, these are the ones you deal with. You go on vacation,
All
there's
of
not somebody that covers for you. This isn't the restaurant industry where somebody else can work that front counter while you're gone.
right.
This is the property management industry where you are the only one that knows about your portfolio.
Yep.
You know what's going on.
Yep.
You know what owners are waiting on. You know who's pissed off. Oops, sorry. Um,
Upset.
yeah, that's what I said. You know who's mad about something, and when you're not there, there's nobody to answer that.
Right.
So you're gonna get a call.
Yep. So they're like,
So
hold on a second. And then they call you and they're like, "Hey Jay, the owner of 12303 Wagon Wheel Drive is on the phone, wants to know what's going on with this tenant's collections." And you're like, "This couldn't wait 2 days?" Of course it couldn't. You could have just told him I was on vacation. No, because
so
people don't respect your time.
also,
we're
if you
gonna
can't
circle
deal with
we're
that,
gonna circle back to that. This industry does not respect your time.
no. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, that's not
What?
happening.
They don't respect your time?
Yeah, I know.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
You can't tell that is 100% sarcasm in my voice,
Mhm.
because you will be your phone will be blown up,
All the
and
time.
sometimes it might not even be anything you can answer.
Yeah.
They just want to hear your voice.
Yep.
They miss you
Yep.
and need to know where you are,
Mhm.
what you're doing, how you're handling something
Yeah.
that could have waited 2 more days, 5 more days until you got back. Wasn't
Yeah.
urgent. Nothing was on fire. But then other times, something will be on fire, and it may literally be on
Be
fire,
on fire.
and want to know what you want to do about it. Number one, I'm going to say call the fire department.
Oh God, how many times?
I don't know how many times
How
people have
many
called me and said,
times?
"There's a fire in the kitchen. Did you call the fire
Why are you
department?"
calling me?
No. Okay, well, hang up and call the fire department first.
Hmm.
Then, once it's out, we'll come and take a look and see what's
That
going on.
people say that my stove is on fire, and then they call me. Why are you calling me? Call
Yeah,
the fire department.
I'm not coming to put
Or
it out.
it, Jesus, I think. What do you expect me to do? Show up like Ghostbusters? Like I'm not doing that,
Yeah,
sir.
with your
That
backpack
or
on.
the my house smells like gas.
Call
Did
Consumers
did you call
Energy.
Consumers Energy? Did you call the gas company and tell them?
I have no
Wh-
electricity. Neither does the rest of your block. Why are you calling me?
Did you call DTE? They manage your electric bill. Like why are you calling me to tell me? And I think
That's.
sometimes they just don't know. I mean,
Uh,
they really don't.
I
So I
think
can understand
sometimes
that.
there's just,
They need reassurance.
well, they need common sense.
Oh,
Sometimes they just need common sense because
so
it gets really, really frustrating when you
yeah.
completely lack common sense
Common sense is
or any
not
kind
common.
of awareness.
There's no such thing as common sense. Oh,
Oh,
Lasha, my assistant manager, she calls all of our residents little hip babies because they are little hip babies. Like they need to be carried around and cared for, and they are. You would think they were so helpless, and
when
it's
you were
just
saying little hip babies, I was just like, what does she mean by little hip babies? I was just thinking like, I don't know, are they that hip? Like, why are they so hip,
like,
Shauna?
are they hip
Why are they
because they
so
got a
hip? They
titanium
that
hip?
cool?
Like, titanium hip babies? No, but she calls them hip babies because they need constant attention and guidance
And
and
reassurance.
reassurance. Yeah. And the
And you're
other
not
thing,
wrong. They all are like
the
that.
other the other thing is because I deal with seniors, they need companionship.
Yeah, well,
So
what you do is a lot
what I
different
do
than
is
what
a
I'm
little
in.
different,
Yeah, in that aspect.
but they'll call the office to ask the office a question they already know the answer to just because they need to talk to somebody.
Mhm.
And that knowing that, absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's the sad part when you know
It
that
is.
somebody that doesn't have someone,
Yeah.
because in my industry
You don't
might
really
be
see your residents
one
very
or two
often.
like that that might call you just to hear somebody else's voice
Yeah.
because they're lonely.
Yeah.
But you see that a lot more because
All the
of
time.
the kind of facility you work at
Yeah.
and that you
Well, I
run.
also see I see my residents in person. So I couldn't tell you how many times I'll see a resident get all dressed up and they got their makeup on and they're wearing their earrings and looking all cute, and I'm like, "Oh," and they're sitting in the front lobby and I was like, "Oh, are you going somewhere?" And they're like, "Yeah, my grandson's going to come and get me." I'm like, "Oh, that's going to be so fun." They're like, "Yeah, they're taking me out for lunch or whatever. It's my birthday next week." And I'm like, "Oh, that's going to be so fun." And they sit there all day and their grandson doesn't show up.
That's heartbreaking.
That's awful.
It's just heartbreaking.
But
See, I don't have
I
to
see
I
it
don't see that.
I
I don't
see it
see my
every day.
tenants.
And if something like that broke me, I couldn't do this job.
Yeah.
I couldn't. If I had to
Yeah.
deal with people, like I said, people dying, and I get attached to these people. I work where they live. This is their life,
Mhm.
you know? So when we decorate for Christmas, or we do, a lot of activities with the residents, and have like Thanksgiving dinner and things like that. And it's like I'm like their family.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't deal with that, I could never do this job.
Yeah.
Never. Like it's a completely different animal. And I did want to touch kind of touch on the major differences between like what you do and like what I used to do
Mhm.
and what I do now. Like, and that's one of them. Is if I couldn't deal emotionally with what I have to deal with every day, I could never do this job. Never.
Yeah.
I could do your job,
I
but
th
I could I could go
Well,
back to
you
that.
don't do you want to?
No, not really.
I'm hiring.
Yeah, so am
No,
I.
um, I I don't see my tenants, so
Not very
I
often,
don't have
yeah.
yeah, I don't see them very often. I mean, most of our stuff is done electronically, so I don't have to see people like that. I mean, I talk to some of them on the phone. I have a few tenants. I've been there for 5 years now. I have a few tenants that love me. I have many
Yeah,
that hate me
yeah.
because, but
You've built a relationship.
the ones that hate you are usually the ones that don't pay their rent on time. That's all. I mean, honestly, they
That's
don't like
true.
you because you tell them they have to pay their rent, or you filed them and it costs them filing fees. And nobody
And you're
likes you when you cost them money. And
heartless.
I'm just the mean guy that
Yeah.
said you have to pay your rent or
In
that charged
December.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing we are very careful about is when it's around the holidays. I'm not gonna evict anyone, but I work for owners,
Yeah.
and it's their investment property.
Yeah.
They have bills to pay too, so
Yep.
you can only be so lenient
Yeah.
before you're calling them up and saying, "Listen, the owner's had enough. Either you have to pay, or you have to move out. Or if you're not going to move out, I'm going to have to, do a physical eviction."
Yeah.
And then you become the mean guy, and
Yeah.
they come up with the funds, but then they hate you forever.
Yeah.
I'm okay with being hated.
Yeah.
So if you're not, the kind of person that can just deal with that, you won't last long.
Yeah.
And
And it's so
it,
disgusting that we have to deal with that.
yeah,
Like, why do you have to deal
it's not fun
with,
sometimes.
yeah, with people literally hating your guts when they're like, and okay, I could talk about this
This turned into
forever.
less of a roast of the industry and more of a talk about
The,
everything you
it's
go through.
literally, but it is a
We'll go
roast.
back and forth to roasting the industry and
It
see
is
talking about
all a
it.
roast
Eh,
because if you worked in retail, you wouldn't deal with this junk.
that's true.
Like, are you kidding?
And the worst thing is you didn't honor somebody's coupon when you're working in the retail
I
industry,
wouldn't
or no
either.
refunds.
I wouldn't either.
Also, you get no refunds on rent either, just so you know.
Right. I got sidetracked. What was I saying?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Keep talking, Jay. It'll come back to me.
It's not coming back to her. It's going to be a completely different subject.
It
When
might be.
when
It's
Shauna
fine.
returns,
Do, 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 do. Where no? Put what's your little music thing? This is what's going on in
which
my head
one?
right now.
Hold on.
No, not that one,
Oh,
but it's
sorry,
close. Might as
wrong
well
one.
be.
It
Yeah,
was this one.
yeah, this one.
Maybe this is jog her memory.
No. Oh god, I lost it. I lost it. Okay, I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Oh,
Anyways, just keep talking.
so
Fill in the gaps, Jay.
so working in this industry, if you can't deal with all the craziness that we have to go through, eh, you just won't last. And and that's why I tell people when I'm interviewing, like I try and give them a little fair warning.
Yeah,
You're going to have to deal with this and this and this. If you can't handle that, if you're not a self starter, you don't know how to pick up and run with a project, or for God's sakes, look something up.
yeah.
I can't tell you how much it annoys me for someone to come to me in my office 15 times a day to ask me either to do something for them, or how to do something, or to look something up. You have the same tools I have. I did not learn this stuff by mistake. I wasn't born with this
You
knowledge.
didn't learn it by osmosis.
Yeah. It didn't just come to me in a dream. I
Are
had to
you
look it up.
sure?
I had to figure it out. I had to take training sessions. I had to read.
Yeah.
There's a thing called reading. There's a thing called Google. It's a great resource. You can
Mhm.
use it. And when you come to me and you ask me the same thing,
Yeah.
for God's sakes, look it up.
Yeah.
Or how about, I love it when I've sent something to somebody in an email explaining, and I'm really good at laying it out exactly. Here are the steps, step by step.
Yeah.
Pictures,
Yep,
arrows,
I taught you how
everything. I
yep,
w- everything.
yep.
I even have a little screen recorder on my computer, so I even send you a video with step by step instructions. It records my voice, it records my screen, everything I'm doing. And then you come to me 2 weeks later and was like, "How do you do this?" Oh my god. Go back to the email I sent you
Figure it
and
out.
follow the instructions. Repetition will burn that into your memory. If you keep asking somebody else to do it for you,
Yeah,
you'll never remember how to do it.
yeah.
So that's my pet peeve. That's my rant on don't ask me things that you should already know.
So
That's my rant. You're
I
welcome.
love that. So there is a website that's called Let Me Google That For You, or yeah, I think it's called Let Me Google
Sounds
That
like
For
porn.
You. No, it's not. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, "No, it's not." And it allows you it takes, like, a, a recording of you putting in whatever it is into Google, and then it pulls up the Google like things, and then it makes a link for you, and you send the like it's to be facetious. You send this to the other person, and it's literally just a screen recording of you putting their question into Google, which they could have done themselves.
See, I use
I love that.
I
I
love that.
love
I'm gonna use that just on my screen recordings app that I have on my computer, but I
yes.
also have Scribe.
Yeah.
So I use Scribe that will just literally record everything you're doing on the screen and it will scribe it out into step by step instructions on how I got here,
Right.
how I did this.
Let me Google that for you.
And I love that Google one. Next time somebody asks me something that I have to Google myself, I'm going to record myself doing it. And
I love it.
I'm
I
gonna
love
send
it.
it to them.
My buddy showed me that, oh god, 10 years ago. And I absolutely love it. And I send it to people all the time and
I
it
mean,
never gets old. And they're like, "Oh wow, thanks." And that's when they don't realize that you're just being a sarcastic idiot. I
I mean,
love it.
honestly, I probably won't do that because I'm for some reason people think like, "Wow, he's all knowing. He knows how to do all of this."
Oh
No,
yeah.
I just use my brain and I
Yeah.
figure it out.
Oh, tell me about it.
But that's fine if you want to think that I'm indispensable. Can't get rid of
Nobody.
me.
Nobody's indispensable.
Shh,
You'll learn that in this
shh.
industry as well.
Don't tell people
There's
that.
nothing that you're going to learn or say or
Somebody else
know
can't
or
learn.
do that is going to keep somebody from not letting you leave.
Yeah,
You can run their company and have them blindfolded the entire time and then take off their blindfold and be like, "Okay, I'm not happy, I'm leaving." And they will just say, "Okay."
that's true.
They will have absolutely no idea what you used to do, how you did it, any of the steps. They can literally just walk in to the office and be like, "I have no background, nothing." And then you're like, "Okay, well, I have the high ground." You don't.
No, you don't.
You
But
don't.
honestly, I do like to teach people to
I do
fish
too.
because I don't, I'm already busy.
Mhm.
Like I have so much, it's overwhelming sometimes. Like
Sometimes
okay, it's overwhelming every single day I get to work from the moment I start until the moment I walk out. It's overwhelming.
you walk in
So
and you're like, "I'm gonna have a stroke today, I can
oh,
tell."
we talked about that in the meeting I had today. There was a conversation about, oh, well, Jay can do that. And then somebody's like, well, we don't need Jay to have a stroke because he's already shorthanded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you'll just
It's
say
fine.
that
We
it's fine.
already we
It's
already
not
know what's
fine.
happening. You know my
Right.
family history. I probably will have a stroke. It'll probably be next week.
It might
Um,
be. Who
but
knows?
I like to teach people to fish because I don't need you coming and asking me the same question. It's just irritating.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask me the same thing every single time. And plus, when you empower other people to be able to do their jobs more efficiently, it just makes your job and your
So
life
much
so much
easier.
easier.
Yep.
So I don't want to hoard my knowledge.
Yeah.
I will gladly teach you how to do it
Yeah.
because I would rather you know and me not have to do. everything on
everything.
top of my duties that I already have to do
Right.
and I have to get done.
Yep.
Some things we have timelines that we have to
Yep.
meet.
Yep.
And when you have somebody coming in your office 15 times a day
Yeah.
because they need you to do something, and instead of teaching them how to do it, you just do it,
Yeah.
you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
And I would rather not be hobbled and walking around on a foot
Mhm.
with a hole in it.
Yep.
I would rather teach you how to do it, and now that's one less thing I have to do for you. Or
Right.
it's one thing I can delegate to you
Yep.
when I'm too busy to do something.
Yep. Exactly. Because now you can do it.
Yeah,
That's not necessarily going to take anything off your plate because now you found a little bit of space on your plate to
yeah.
just cram
To
19
put
more
something
things
else in
on
there. For
there.
every one thing you stop doing, you'll get 15 more.
Yeah. Like, oh, now you got some time.
Uh,
Here,
Here you go.
have that. Oh, now you got some time. Here, have this. Well, I was thinking about that one thing that you gave up. I think you could take on this.
Yeah. I was
And
thinking
that will
about
get
that one portfolio with that single property. Well, here's a portfolio with 125 properties.
you
You can
got
handle
this.
that, right?
You got this.
Sure.
I'm going to build you
Got a
up.
problem saying no.
Yeah, don't we all?
Well, when you're in this industry, it's not like you can really just say no
I mean,
because
you
it needs to be
can.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, it doesn't get done, it's just going to make your life hard
Yeah.
because you still have to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's now a part of the company, it's now a part of your portfolio or whatever it might be. So if it's not getting managed correctly because you were like, no, I'm just not doing this, you still have to deal with the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you become sometimes you become a yes man in the industry because you just know if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. It's going to make it harder.
And I think that that's also one of the biggest roasts of the industry too, is that this industry is notorious. I'm not saying this doesn't ever happen, but this industry is absolutely notorious for giving people more work with no payoff. No increases, no raises. You are just expected to be a good worker, and when you are a good worker, they just give you more work. And then
A lot of
you're
industries are like that, though.
a lot. Well, I was gonna say this industry specifically too is one of those industries. Like if you're really good at your job, you'll end up doing your job and two other people's jobs because they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, we're short staffed.
Yeah,
Let's
uh,
just not hire anybody."
and that's why in property management,
Yeah.
you need to be able to wear many hats.
All the
Yeah,
hats.
all the
Every
hats,
single hat.
programming and everything. And that's not me just pulling that out of my butt. Like you really do
Yeah.
need to know how to do these things because if
Yeah.
you use software, a
Yep.
lot of the software you use in the industry are things that have to be programmed and set up to work with to
Mhm.
what you need them to do.
And
You have to build reports. You have
yep.
to
And I
sometimes
did
you have to do
that.
coding.
Yep, I did that and I learned how to do coding and customization and all of that in the software that we were using at the time.
Mhm.
And so I
I
did
remember
software.
because you left and then I had to figure out how to do it
So I
myself.
did, software integration and setting up, automations and writing the codes and everything and templates and I didn't ever realize how much, well, I never knew because I had never done it. I didn't realize how much I really liked doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll complain about it because it adds a lot of work, like,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it. I
Yeah.
enjoy setting up the softwares to work with and make them work how I need them to work
Yep,
or be able
customizing
to,
them and
yes,
everything.
customize reports and things.
Yeah. So I really am I like that too.
It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but you kind of grow to love it.
So I think that
It's that toxic relationship that you stay in and
yeah.
just like bask in
You're
it
like, but they
sometimes.
love me. Yeah, I can agree with that. All right. Well, we're giving you the five-finger countdown right now. So I think that we can wrap this up and just say that just try the industry out. You'll love it.
Or will you?
Buy some wine. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.